Greetings, fellow thinkers and drinkers and Motorhead fans. As we take another look at their recorded output, and in this thrilling installment, we pick up where we left off last time, which was well, the boys weren't in the best possible position, were they now? Having just dipped their toe, shall we say, into the murky waters of mainstream accessibility or acceptability, depending on your point of view. I think they experienced something we could probably best describe as mutual rejection. The mainstream world didn't care much for their products, and I don't think they were too happy with the experience. Sony dropped them, their record company, after having done fuck all, effectively the square root of fuck all, in terms of helping them promote the album. Oh dear, what can you do? So that was the end of that. That was March or Die. Not the first time they've been dropped, and this time they signed to a German label, ZXY label. Still going, I believe, in Germany. But they're no longer on a major label. That's the point here. And obviously, although having been on a major label didn't really do them much good, at least they were on a major label. Being on a smaller label, and they're going to be they're obviously limited in their budget and how much they can actually do to promote the records. Right. What other background information was there? Okay, Mickey Dree. Let's just rename him Mickey D, shall we, for the purpose of this video. It's just much easier for me to pronounce. I'm sure he'll understand. He played on the entire album, but was not yet, as far as I recall, was not yet a full member of the band. However, he plays like a bastard on this. Absolutely amazing. And yeah, again, I think Lemmy especially had enough. With mainstream success or mainstream acceptance, they passed ships in the night. And this album, I think, is a reaction against that. You can feel it, you can taste it almost. You can, but you can certainly sense it. The nothing on here. I think you would have found on Watch or Die. It probably would not have fit the bill. Howard Benson produced this, and I know some people think it's somehow an inferior production, but I don't get that. I really don't. I think it sounds fine. Everything's clear. Everything's balanced. It's loud. It's aggressive. It's not polished, but it doesn't sound like a demo. I think it's a pretty good production. And the other thing of note is that this album, Bastards, in case you didn't know, or in case I forgot to mention it, is the first Motörhead album not to contain a title track. Strange that they missed the opportunity there, isn't it? But never mind. What did they deliver? Well, it opens with "On Your Feet or On Your Knees," which this is back to the great Motörhead openers. Maybe not the greatest, but it's one of them. Certainly an improvement on Stand, I have to say, from Watch or Die. And already you can tell somehow that even if you're hearing this for the first time, this is a different band almost. This is Motörhead at their rawest, perhaps their most pissed off, and perhaps that's reflected. That has been reflected in the music. This is fast. This is furious, and it's got a great groove to it. On your feet or on your knees. Can't possibly think what the lyrics could be about. Let me know in the comments. Follow it up with Burner, which is 2.5 minutes of absolute unbridled fun and joy. This is thrash, I suppose. But because it's Motörhead, they actually make it musical. So I like it. I love it. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Great song. It was also really good live. No let up with Death or Glory either. You get the feeling they have a point to prove. and they concentrated more than usual on the writing. Perhaps more time in the studio, less time in the bar. I think they said, paraphrasing, but the results are showing. This is another really, really strong composition. It's followed by I Am the Sword, which is yet another belter. Absolutely no let up thus far. It's a typical Lemmy anti-war themed lyric, but he does it very well, as he was wont to do. On a few albums, I've made the comment that there are some inherently good songs or backing tracks, shall we say, which have sometimes been let down, sometimes, by a somewhat lackluster vocal melody from Lemmy. This is not one of them. You just got to listen to it. It's really good. And again, this is just another great song. I mean, they're all belters. Okay, Born to Raise Hell. It features, I think, Michael Monroe on the record. Backing vocals, but you can't really hear him. Whether that's a good thing or not, you just can't really hear him. This is their first appearance of sort of Motörhead rock and roll on the album, and it's yet another belter. It's got an amazing groove to it. And it's a band classic, and that's perfectly understandable and clear why. Okay, they follow it up with something that's a bit of a change of pace, both conceptually, I would say, and musically, maybe even for the band. Don't Let Daddy Kiss Me. Now, when Lemmy wrote this, he originally offered it to, I think, Joan Jett and or Lita Ford, for, in his opinion, a girl should sing this. Well, they both obviously turned him down, and he ended up singing it himself. Obviously, a sensitive subject matter, but Lemmy handles it with effective delicacy, I have to say, in terms of the lyrics, and his vocal performance is fitting to the gravity of the song. It's slower, more ambient for Motörhead, perhaps. There's an a cappella acoustic intro, which builds into a still slow pace but heavier climax towards the song. Finale, I suppose I should say. Not a ballad. This is not a ballad. There may be acoustic guitar intro and there may be a cappella vocals, but this is not a ballad. And it's very strong stuff. Okay, they followed up with Bad Woman, which is classic Motörhead. It's the first fun song on the album. I didn't realize I'd been missing them until I heard this. Sometimes amongst the serious stuff, it just bounces along at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it would even have your grandmother tapping her feet. This is one of them, but it does not mean to say it's a throwaway number or anything like that. It isn't. It's just the first fun one, shall we say. But it's got another great groove to it, and it's another wonderful song. Follow it up with Liar, which is a slight change of pace, but again, it's a very hard driving track. It's a little bit more subtle, this one. You need to pay slightly more attention to it. But there's some really effective musical dynamics going on here. So, changes of paces towards the middle eighth, tempo towards the middle eighth, things like that. I really like it. Then we move to the ballad. Okay. If you watched enough of these videos, you'll get the joke. This isn't a ballad. But Lost in the Ozone. Again, this one really shows, I think, their increasing musical maturity. Making a slower song as dynamic and effective as this is maybe something I wouldn't have done and wouldn't have been able to do in the early days, or not as effectively. I think if you go back, watch my videos, some of my previous videos, I do make that point on occasion. And every album needs a change of pace. Well, any musical album needs a change of pace. You've got to be allowed to catch your breath. Let's say it's like a comedy show or a drama or something. They've got to build you up to a laugh, bring you down, and then lift. You got to catch your breath before the last act, sort of thing. And that's where sequencing, I think, the art of sequencing. Somebody's probably got an algorithm to do it now, but it's so important. And this one just at the right time. We've had a couple of fun bits. We had Don't Let Daddy Kiss Me, but yeah, this is not slow, but it's not a foot to the floor, million miles an hour. But my God, it's a damn fine song. Another one that was highly successful live. Okay, next, I'm Your Man. This is a really, actually, the opening riff is very un-Motorhead in some ways, yet very much Motorhead in others. It's really laid back. Not the sort of thing you associate with their music, is it? But yeah, it's a bit of a grinder. But it's got more slow grind song. It's got more. There's more great musical dynamics going here. Um, there is no weak point on this album. There's no point looking for one. You won't find it. When we get up to the penultimate song, we bring the shake. Milkshake? I don't know. It's perhaps the most commercial sounding song on the album. Do excuse me. But yet again, it's a fantastic, really good composition, really strong musical structure to this. And despite all that, and despite being fast, and despite what did I say, having that commercial edge to it, it's got almost an ear candy element. It's really catchy. Still a great song. Love it. The album closes with Devils, which on occasion I would offer as perhaps one of their best ever recorded songs. There is something about this. It's well for them 5.5 minutes, so it's about as epic as you're going to get. It's one of those things. If in anybody else's hands, this would have been 10 minutes. As it is, I absolutely love this, and a monumental album closer. It's just got so much going for it. It really has. I don't know if they played this live. I've got a feeling they didn't, which is disappointing. I think it would have really killed on stage. But there you have it, bastards. And what a bastard it is. Is it perfect? Fuck me, yes. It is. The songwriting, I think, here is exceptional. The playing, the riffing, by everybody, all of them, is 10 out of 10. If this was a reaction to the somewhat tepid Watch or Die and the shit they've just been through from the business, point of view, then you could almost, you know, wish them more bad luck in the future if this is what it produces. Lemmy almost maintained they're not a heavy metal band. I've touched on this subject before, and I will doubtless come back to it again. This is probably one of the best examples in there, well, certainly thus far. I won't prejudge what's to come. Of that, it treads a very fine line, and the line is very fine between Motorhead style rock and roll, which is really at your throat, and what you probably most people would agree with heavy metal. There is a fine line that this band trod, and I think this is so far. This is one of the very very clearest and best examples of that. Unfortunately, if you were not living in Germania or Germany, to the rest of you, the chances of you buying this were much reduced. Again, not being on a major label, I don't think it was incompetence. I don't think it was malice. I just don't think they had the logistical wherewithal or backing or finance to get the fucking thing into their shops. It sold well in Germany comparatively, but it bombed literally anywhere, just about everywhere else because it was just not available. Which is just, this is Motorhead, isn't it? Their finest album. And I think it is, certainly thus far. I'd put it up there with, certainly with Another Perfect Day in 1916, and I would give it the edge over 1916. And maybe on Another Perfect Day, depending on my mood. But those two are very close. But now, unfortunately, it just didn't have any commercial resonance whatsoever. Well, such is life. Anyway, we're back on track. I said, and I'll repeat myself, presumably it'll be expected of me when we get to the end of this little odyssey, Motörhead odyssey, that I will have to give some sort of ranking. If anything's going to dethrone this as my favorite of their album, it's going to have to be fucking spectacular. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen. Well, on that note, let me know what you think, if you agree. If you don't agree, like, obviously, subscribe, obviously, share. There must be people out there you can't stand you could send this to. I refuse to believe there aren't. Maybe subscribe them. Can you do that? Probably not. I probably shouldn't even be suggesting it, but never mind. Anyway, I thank you for your indulgence, and until next time, be well, and machonker.